You might think you understand your body better than anyone else, and in many ways you do. But what if the confidence you rely on is quietly leading you in the wrong direction, especially when it comes to your health? Because there is one mistake that countless women over 30 make when dealing with trichomonas, and it often begins with a simple assumption that what you're experiencing is minor, temporary, or something you can fix on your own. And that assumption can silently stretch days into weeks and weeks, into months of discomfort, confusion, and hidden damage. Because self diagnosis, while it feels empowering, can sometimes become the very thing that delays true healing. And in a world filled with quick online searches and over the counter solutions, it is easy to fall into the trap of believing you already know the answer. Yet the body does not always communicate in clear or predictable ways, and infections like trichomonas can mimic other conditions, blending symptoms in ways that misled even the most attentive individuals. And this is where the deeper lesson begins, because it is not just about the infection itself, it is about the mindset behind how we respond to discomfort, uncertainty, and vulnerability. And many women, strong and independent, often feel they should handle things quietly, privately, and quickly without seeking guidance, as if asking for help somehow diminishes their strength. But in truth, recognizing when you need accurate information and professional care is one of the highest forms of self-respect. And this is something Dr. Patricia J. Johnson has emphasized through years of guiding women toward better health decisions, reminding us that healing is not about rushing to a conclusion, but about understanding the full picture. Because when antibiotics are taken incorrectly, or worse, when the wrong treatment is used altogether, the infection does not simply disappear, it adapts, lingers, and sometimes intensifies, creating a cycle that feels frustrating and never-ending. And what began as a manageable condition slowly becomes a prolonged burden, affecting not just physical well-being, but also emotional peace, confidence, and relationships. And so the real question becomes not just what are you treating, but how are you choosing to approach your healing journey? Are you reacting out of urgency and assumption, or are you responding with patience, awareness, and informed action? Because the difference between those two approaches can define your entire experience. And as we move deeper into this conversation, you will begin to see that the mistake is not just in the treatment itself, but in the belief that you must navigate it alone, without clarity, without confirmation, and without the guidance that could change everything. And just when you believe you have taken control of the situation, something unexpected begins to happen. The symptoms that seem to fade start to quietly return. Not always in the same way, not always as intense, but enough to make you question what is really going on beneath the surface. And this is where the hidden danger reveals itself, because incomplete or incorrect treatment does not always fail loudly. Sometimes it fails silently, stretching the infection into a lingering presence that becomes harder to identify and even harder to eliminate. And in that silence, doubt begins to grow. You may start wondering if it is something else, something more serious, or perhaps something you did wrong. And that uncertainty can slowly erode your confidence, making you second-guess your body and your instincts. Yet the truth is not about blame. It is about understanding that trichomonas requires precision in both diagnosis and treatment, something that cannot be replaced by guesswork or partial solutions, because antibiotics are not just about taking a pill and expecting immediate relief. They are about following a carefully prescribed process, completing the full course, and allowing the body the time it needs to fully respond. And when that process is interrupted, even slightly, the infection can persist in ways that are not immediately obvious. And this is where many women unknowingly remain stuck, believing they have done enough, when in reality, the healing process was never fully completed. And as Dr. Patricia J. Johnson often explains, true recovery is not defined by the disappearance of symptoms alone, but by confirmed resolution through proper follow-up testing, because what you cannot see can still affect you, and what you assume is gone may still be present, quietly influencing your health and well-being. And this is where the suspense deepens, because the longer the infection remains untreated or improperly treated, the greater the risk of complications that extend beyond immediate discomfort, influencing reproductive health, increasing vulnerability to other infections, and creating a cycle that feels increasingly difficult to break. And in that moment, the realization can feel overwhelming, that what seemed like a small, manageable issue has now become something much more complex, not because it was impossible to treat, But because it was not approached with the clarity and care it required, and yet within this realization lies a powerful turning point. Because awareness has the ability to transform everything, to shift you from confusion to understanding, from hesitation to informed action, and from prolonged struggle to intentional healing. And as you begin to see the full picture, you're no longer navigating in the dark. You're stepping into a space where knowledge becomes your strongest ally, guiding you toward decisions that are not based on fear or assumption, but on truth, accuracy, and the willingness to do what is necessary to fully restore your health. And in that moment of clarity, everything begins to shift because you realize that healing was never about finding the fastest solution. It was about choosing the right one. And that choice requires patience, responsibility, and a willingness to trust guidance that is grounded in knowledge rather than assumption. And this is where your power truly returns, not in guessing, not in rushing, but in committing to a process that honors your body and respects the complexity of what it is going through. Because when antibiotics are properly prescribed by a qualified professional and taken exactly as directed, something remarkable happens. The uncertainty begins to fade, the infection is addressed at its root, and your body is finally given the opportunity to restore itself fully without interruption, without confusion, and without the lingering question of whether the problem is truly gone. And this is why follow-up testing becomes such a critical part of the journey, not as an afterthought, but as a confirmation, a moment where you replace doubt with certainty and fear with reassurance, because knowing is always more powerful than assuming. And Dr. Patricia J. Johnson has consistently emphasized that safe treatment is not just about medication, it is about awareness, education, and accountability. It is about understanding that your health deserves more than shortcuts, more than temporary fixes. It deserves a complete and thoughtful approach that supports long-term well-being. And when you begin to adopt this mindset, something deeper changes within you. You no longer see health challenges as isolated problems to quickly eliminate, but as signals guiding you toward better care, better decisions, and a stronger connection with your own body. And that transformation is not limited to this one experience. It extends into every aspect of your life, influencing how you respond to uncertainty, how you seek information, and how you prioritize your well-being. Moving forward, because the lesson here goes far beyond Trichomonas, it is about recognizing the value of informed action, the importance of professional guidance, and the strength that comes from choosing clarity over convenience. And as you carry this understanding with you, you begin to move differently, with greater confidence, with deeper awareness, and with a sense of control that is not based on guessing, but on knowing that you are making decisions rooted in truth and care. And that is where real healing begins, not just in the body, but in the mind and in the way you approach yourself, your health, and your future. Because when you choose to do it right, completely and consciously, you are not just treating a condition, you're protecting your peace, your confidence, and your long-term well-being. And that is a choice worth making every single time. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.